and the players have always used the term uncommon. Like, just wanted kind of what you witnessed tonight from Madrid last night of a long road trip, as shorthanded as you were, to have a wire to wire victory.
Yeah, I thought obviously it was a great effort all the way around. These last 6 games were all against playoff teams that we knew would test us. It was just going to give us a nice evaluation of where we are in the season and what we need to improve on. It's given us that feedback. It obviously gave us the unpredictability of the injuries because we were much healthier going into it. But the guys did a great job throughout this stretch and certainly tonight. Against a tough cover on the road, to come out and perform the way we did with the consistency we did was really impressive.
One of those areas that's really consistent was the defensive last. I mean, without your two biggest bodies, I think they laid out 5 offensive rebounds. What did you see there from the group?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great defensive effort. It was great game plan execution. The plan tonight was a little different than it's something we've done before, but it's not common for us. I thought Dort on Giannis back-to-back games now, he's guarded Mitchell and Giannis, who are two very different covers, and it just shows his range defensively and his impact. I thought Chet behind those plays, we outscored them in the paint. To your point, we out-rebounded them and held them down on the offensive glass. I thought Chet had a lot to do with that. And then all the way across the line in terms of just the execution, the effort, and the focus for 48 minutes was really impressive.
AJ continues to show up game after game, but that first quarter especially, shots were going in, strong defense.
Yeah, he was great. He's been great all year. So we're unsurprised when he has a little burst like that. But he was great. He set the tone in the first quarter of the game, got it going on all 3 levels, continues to defend his position really well, and continues to play the right way and make the right passes. Even a couple of the turnovers were well-intentioned. He was trying to get the ball up to Chet on some rolls. And so he just continues to grow and progress. He's doing a great job.
Weren't just a precautionary thing with the hip.
He was out for the rest of the game, but we'll check him out tomorrow.
And on AJ, like obviously Shai, in terms of consistency being a constant, is in another realm. But the sort of year AJ strung together, like has he developed into such a constant that you can count at, like kind of what I asked you before the game, that you can kind of throw him out there or sort of start throwing him out there with such vastly different groups. I mean, the lineup you threw him out there with in the first quarter was almost all bench guys.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously a really impactful player. I think one of the things that makes him uniquely a good fit for this team is he, to your point, can create and can carry a bit of a load offensively, and he can also adapt and play well off of other players. And for a young player that is emerging the way that he is, to be able to thread that needle offensively is very, very difficult to do. There's usually a tendency to be too passive or too aggressive in that situation, and he's just found a beautiful balance this season. So, he's done a great job. He's a huge part of what we're doing. He was great again tonight.
I imagine you've been asked this in market, but is there anything he learned after going out last year that sort of has maybe helped him become such a good compliment to guys?
AJ? Yeah, I think, the injury last year, it allowed him to, first of all, work on his body a little bit because it didn't prevent him from hitting the weight room. He did a great job over the summer with that too. Having the miles underneath him when he got hurt, I think that always contextualizes what he's seeing or what a player is seeing when they're watching from the sidelines. And then in the playoffs, he had 2.5 months of practice reps. He was a circumstance away from being in the game. We threw him in a couple games anyways, but he was a couple events away from being like really in the game. And so he wasn't like a scout team player in the playoffs. He got all the preparation. We were constantly making sure that he was ready physically and mentally if his number was called. And I thought, that was probably a valuable experience for him too. So, like I said, he's made great strides and really grown. He's done a great job.
How efficient was Shai tonight? He barely missed a shot, and then he has 11 assists to go along.
Yeah, how efficient was he? He had 40. He was 16 for 19. He had 11 assists. He had 2 turnovers. What he's doing is not normal. I think he makes it look normal. He is not breaking a sweat on a lot of nights. But what he's doing is not normal. So I think it's important to remember that the level of efficiency on the degree of difficulty. I mean, he's seeing every coverage every night, including tonight. They're running guys at him. He's finishing plays over Giannis, who's one of the best weak side shot blockers in the last decade. He's making very difficult pull-ups over a hand on a consistent basis. And still, like, to the 11 assists, he had 8 assists in the first half. He's still blending his aggression with the rest of the team, which activates everybody else and allows everybody else to play in a rhythm as well. So, he's been so consistent, but tonight was pretty special. I mean, that was something else.
You mentioned the turnovers. I mean, too, for him, this one has been a consistent thing for him this season. Just how much does he kind of set the tone for you? Talking about earlier with, you guys are able to force turnovers, but also you don't turn the ball over. So how much does he set the tone that hard?
Yeah, Shai, I mean, one of the sneaky efficiency things about him over the years has been how low turnover he's been and how low turnover our team is as a result of him being kind of the head of the snake. And over time, he's touched up the edges in terms of his efficiency on all 3 levels, certainly the 3-point line this year. And then his passing, has continued to improve just in terms of making the early plays, manipulating the defense. He found Carlson on a couple tonight on the rolls that were a great example of him kind of toying with the game a little bit and getting a guy a dunk. He does that with shots with his teammates, so that's where the stuff's improved. But he's always been low turnover, and that's always been a huge driver of the efficiency of him and of our team.
Anything else for Coach? Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thanks.